Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this beautiful evening of Business Excellence Awards. Remember, I know exactly tonight why you are here. You are here to be celebrated, obviously, to come and get your awards. But more than that, most of you came from all the different provinces. We're talking about Free State, Northern Cape, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, even the states of South Africa, the Free State. You are all here, and I know why you are all here, right? You're just here for one person, one man. But guys, you know what? Just like you, I'm sitting here and I'm looking for Vusi, and he's not in the room. So we need to find him, right? But for us to do that, I'm going to ask my co-host. First of all, thank you so much. As you all know, we are hosted in the province of KZN, and I'm going to call upon my co-host here, Mr. Tamizondi. Remember, I gave him a name. This is just a man who gets things done. You'd swear he doesn't work for the government. The way he does things, you know. So with that being said, our host in the province, Mr. Zondi, please, are you going to help us find Mabusana? Where is he? Please talk to us, my brother, and bring him to the platform, to the room, to the platform, however you do it. Yeah, let me give it up to you. You can do the magic, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, Timen, as my co-host for tonight, as we're here to celebrate top ICT business young people that you've done a tremendous job with all your stakeholders, MTN, UFS, and everybody involved, including ourselves as the province. But yeah, as you correctly say, I mean, as we are coming to give them their NQF5 certificates and the awards, we also wanted to make sure that they get the motivation that's going to propel them beyond tonight. And there's no other better person to do that than our own venture capitalist, the dragon, Mr. Vusi Thembekwayo. And young people want to see him. So, you know what? I think since we can't find him in the room, we just have to be creative, because we're living in the days of technology and things are sometimes done hybrid. So I think, as you say, as KZN, we get things done. So let's get online and let's get VT. We want him to talk to young people, no matter how, but we want that voice, we want that insight. So I say to you, let's waste no time. Let's get online. He will tell us where he is, but he will speak to young people tonight.
You guys are too kind. Sanbonani, guys.
Hey, VT, there he is.
Oh, we found him.
Yes.
Mr. Pitse, thanks, guys. So I am in Rwanda, Kigali, and I am stuck here because, as you know, after they announced the discovery of the new variant, they also elected certain countries to shut South Africa out. And so my flight on Rwanda Air was cancelled, and I've been stuck here. I've been stuck here since it's worked out just the way it's worked out. And I think in the era that we're living in, we kind of have to do the things that we need to do.
Yeah. Okay. Just before we continue, then may I ask, how are you feeling? Are you well? I know you're a strong man, but are you good? Are you well?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm solid. You know, I think the lesson we've learned over the past 18 months, 24 months has been that things can change very quickly. It doesn't matter what ubani, it doesn't matter what nani, right? I think we're all learning that things can change quickly. We're also all learning that life is a gift. You know, so I'm in good health. I've been tested several times. They're doing a lot of tests here. So I've been tested several times. I think, you know, by the grace of God, I'm good. Things are continuing, things are carrying on. But these are the changes that we had to make. These are the sacrifices that we have to make. And I personally, at a personal level, I would have hoped that governments around the world would have handled this thing better. But we are where we are, and we have to deal with what we have to deal with.
Wow. Okay. Well, before we continue, VT, first of all, let me say thank you so much that despite all the challenges, you know, you made sure that you reach out to us. I mean, you tried your best, you know, even the chartered flights that could not be allowed and everything. I know, really. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And you know, you are loved here. You know, you are the leadership here. So thank you. We appreciate you that you're here tonight. But before we continue, let me go back to my co-host, Mr. Zondi. Well, let me give it to you. You know the topic for tonight, right? Young people are in business. Young people want money. You know, they've got projects, they've got ventures that they know. What is standing between them and them getting it right? You know, is them raising money for that. And this is a problem because of many things. But I don't even want to get into it, as we've got a specialist in the room. I just want to go back to you. I don't know, what do you have to say about tonight's theme or topic before we give over to VT?
Thank you so much, Timen. You're correct. I think as different stakeholders,
Oh, no.
Right.
Ourselves at the provincial government, working with entrepreneurship, working with all the various stakeholders, we have one thing in common: to see youth businesses in the country thriving and in various provinces. Hence, we embarked on this particular program wherein, amongst many other important sectors, we realize the importance of the ICT sector in the times we're living in. Hence, even now we're connecting with VT via virtual. So it always just goes to show that this is one sector that is important. But of course, entrepreneurs that are in this sector, they are not immune to challenges that are being faced by other entrepreneurs. One of them being access to finance, as you said. So as they face the different challenges, they will then need people who will then be able to guide them and motivate them. Hence, obviously, from a financial access to finance point of view, we need to bring in venture capitalists as well as business motivational speakers like VT to come and talk to young people. So I think with those words, for us as the host province, we're saying young people from all the 5 provinces. KZN is home. At the end of the day, provinces are just named. We are one country, one South Africa. And we believe that from what VT is going to share with you, you're going to get valuable information that you're going to go back home and say whatever challenge you are facing, especially in as far as accessing finance and growing your business, you're going to face it head on and make things happen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zondi, and thank you so much also for hosting us, making it possible in your province. Like I said, you get things done, so thank you, and thank you for the partnership. Now, let's bring VT in. VT, you know what I've realized is that you go to universities, people are in business, people are talking, people are taught, but until VT says it, these people don't listen and they do not believe us. So that is why I remember since, a few years back, you know, we brought you back, even when we see like, no, man, VT, the highest paid speaker in Africa. Hi, man, this guy we can't afford, but we make sure that we get you, because until you speak, they don't believe us. People want funding. They've got all the ventures and things. They want funding. What is VT saying?
Look, here are my thoughts on this funding question. I think actually, Thabo, that most entrepreneurs approach the funding question incorrectly. And here's what I mean by that. Guys, funders have to fund. It's their job. It's their business. The same way when you go to Pick n Pay or ShopRite, they have to sell you that bread. They have to sell you the milk. Favor. So funders have to fund. It's their business. It's literally the reason they exist. My experience, though, over a decade doing this has been the following: that the reason entrepreneurs are saying funding is a challenge, there's 2 reasons. The first reason is that most entrepreneurs are not ready for funding. Now, there are some watching this going, keeping you know, there are some guys saying that. When we say you're not ready for funding, we're not saying that you're not capable of taking that money and creating value out of it. That's not what funding readiness means. When we say you're not ready for funding, what we're saying is your business you have not built enough information around your business for a potential funder to give you money. Let me put it differently. The difference between the person running a ShopRite store and the person running a spaza shop is that the person running a ShopRite store records every transaction. They record stock, inventory, shrinkage, sales, they record staff, costs, they record everything. So if somebody wants to get a ShopRite franchise or invest in it, they can, because there's information to do so. Most entrepreneurs who say funding is a challenge, my experience has been you just don't have the information that's needed. So you have to learn how to build that information. Now, there's some watching this, Thabo, who will say, but information kanjani mafsana angaqali. I have an idea. I want to get going. What information are you talking about? You can't make, no person can make a decision without information. That's irresponsible. So if you are at the stage where your business is running, you need a way of recording that information. This is when we talk about accounting software and HR software and all of the, you have a way of recording these things. But if your business is not running and you have an idea, then you have to find a way of capturing information that gives the potential funder or investor a understanding of the opportunity. So the question I'm asking you, if you have an idea, is what is your TAM, your total addressable market? What's your CAC, your customer acquisition cost? What's your LTV, your customer lifetime value? Right? What is your growth strategy? Who are your competitors? What are your funding requirements? What's your burn rate? What's your return on equity? What's your repayment cycle? These are questions, you have to answer these questions before funders talk to you. So, guys, before we even talk about accessing funding, let's do our homework. So the first thing I want to say to the entrepreneurs is just make sure you have the information that's necessary. Then the second thing I have to say to the entrepreneurs, and this is the trick, if you guys learn this, the game changes. What I'm about to share with you, if you do it, will change your experience raising money. Guys, and I'm not saying this just in J. I'm saying this because every entrepreneur I've advised to do this, I do this, it works. Here's the trick. Research the funding institution. What does that mean? So let's take South Africa, right? There are national funding institutions in South Africa. There's the National Empowerment Fund. There's the Small Enterprise Finance Agency, SEFA. And there are several funds run by the DTIC, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. Some of those funds are around heavy industry, manufacturing, engineering, the Black Industrialist Program, the National Gazelles. There are different funds there. There are some of you hearing this who don't even know what funds I'm talking about. So do your research and find out what the funds are. Then outside of that, every single province in South Africa has some sort of funding entity, right? In the Free State, you've got the Free State Development Foundation Corporation. In Gauteng, you've got the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, amongst many others. In Limpopo, you've got the Local Enterprise Development Agency, LEADER. And in Mpumalanga, you've got MEGA, the Mpumalanga Economic Growth Agency. They are there in every province. Research. Then find out, what do they fund? What is their mandate? Where does the money go? Who have they funded in the past? What is their strategy? Because no point you've got an agriculture business and you want to raise funding, but you go and talk to the Black Industrialist Program that's aimed at engineering or heavy industry or manufacturing. You're going to get a no, right? So doing the research on finding out who the funders are in the ecosystem. And by the way, these are just the funders in government. Then, because of South Africa's laws around Black economic empowerment, we've got this thing called enterprise and supplier development. It's a component of the 6 elements of BEE. There are 6 elements to BEE. There's management control, employment equity, skills development, enterprise and supplier development, a preferential procurement, and there's one other, but there's 6 elements. So enterprise and supply development is one of the 6 elements. And funds, companies, have to commit 2% of their net operating profit after tax every year to enterprise and supply development, which means right now as we speak, Coca-Cola, Anglo-American, Rio Tinto, GlaxoSmithKline, ABSA. Give me any large corporate operating in South Africa today. They all have ESD funds. So now what you want to do is find out, Lama funds, Lawa, where are they? Who's managing them? What is the mandate of the fund? Which is the third thing you need to learn. Learn to ask the funder a question. What is your fund mandate? There's something most entrepreneurs don't know, Thabo. This is the, guys, I'm giving golden nuggets. This is the golden nugget. Fund managers have customers the same way you have a customer, right? The Department of Trade and Industry has a fund called the Black Industrialist Program. Their customer is National Treasury. Treasury gave them the money. Now you must ask yourself, why did Treasury give them the money? Right? So once you know what the customer gave the fund manager the money for, you know what problem to solve for the fund manager. So is it a fund that's aimed at getting Black women into IT? Then that's the fund you want to talk to if you're a Black woman in IT. Is it a fund at getting youth into agriculture? Then that's the fund you want to talk to if you're a young person in agriculture. Is it a fund at getting creatives and talented people in media to start small businesses? Then that's the fund you want to talk to. So if you're a young creative person in media and you're starting a business, who would you talk to? You'd talk to MultiChoice because they have a fund aimed at young Black people in the. So what I'm saying is you have to be a sniper, guys. Do your research. Find out the fund manager, find out their mandate, find out the problem they're solving, and talk to them about their specific problem. I can tell you to do this because I do this. This is literally what I do, right? I was just in Abu Dhabi meeting with investors, large-scale investors. Thabo, we're talking companies that manage $40 billion, meeting with their CEOs and MDs. But I got the meetings and I got the discussions because I got the problem they were solving and I spoke to them about the specific problem and what I can do to fix it. Every person has a problem they are solving. Every CEO has a problem they are solving. Once you learn how to position yourself as the solution to the problem, raising funding becomes very easy.
Hi, Con. I am speechless. I am speechless. Honestly, because VT, I agree with you. Even me myself, you know, when people will always ask you, but how do you do it? It's exactly that. I talk about, you know, the rules to follow. Even when you go to the bank, you know, first find out what is the criteria. What is their rules? And then just fulfill all that. When you fill it up, I mean, when you fill in the forms and then you've got everything that you have, you know, that they want, why would they deny you funding then? Anyways, so, wow. I don't know. Viti, are you a pastor or are you a... Because, you know, we're talking business here, but it's like you're coming with us with this Holy Spirit, man. It gets into your head, into your heart, into your spirit. Mr. Zond, are you feeling what I'm feeling here?
No, I feel it. I feel it. And in all honest, entrepreneurs are people who solve challenges, which is what I think above everything that Viti was saying. When they research the various funds, they need to understand what problems are the customers and the funds themselves trying to solve. So much so that they themselves as businesses are also coming in to solve a similar problem. It's no use coming to me wanting to solve a problem of water, whereas my mandate is to solve a problem of electricity. So you need to align. And even if one important thing, Tim-Man, you know, from what VT is saying, what I believe is one of the things that entrepreneurs seem to miss is that the fact that the problem of water is an international problem doesn't mean that everybody's trying to solve that problem. So don't go around and saying, yeah, but we all know we need to solve the problem of water. Why aren't they giving me money? I'm doing the right thing. Go to the person that has that mandate, as VT has put it, And if you're solving electricity problem, go to a person that is solving that problem. That's why there are different funds. That's why the research is speaking about, hey man, you're right. You know, there's just baptism of information, baptism of knowledge. And I think, you know, I hope our young people are receiving this as much as we're receiving it.
Can I say something? Can I say something else? Let me just add something else. Tell me, you know, what you just said is so powerful. I want to put a full stop on it, a finer point. I want to underline it, put it in bold and italics, what you've just said. Guys, when you run a fund, and I have several, when you raise money, okay, the people you raise money to, Thabo, do you know what they ask me when I'm raising a fund? We're busy raising a 1.2 billion rand fund at the moment. It'll be our next fund. It's an SME fund. Do you know what they ask me? They ask me three things. The first thing they ask me is, who are you? Hubanwen. So when you are a business person and you hear people talk about this thing called a due diligence, a due diligence is nothing more than you asking a person, Ubani. Nyagozwa was a business, you're doing things. Who are you? Can I trust you with my money? Right? That's the first question. Then the second question they ask me is, this money, once we give it to you, what are you going to do with it? So I don't know if you guys know this, but as a fund manager, when I'm raising money, I already have the businesses I want to buy. It's not like I raise money, then nyokabanga, nyotandaza, yes, yatandas. It's not. This is not a house. It's not a house concert. There's no DJ Maporisa here. We're not. You know, it's real. It's not poisa. It's not none of that stuff. It's real. So by the time Bankaya, this 100 million, I've already got businesses I must put the 100 million into. The reason that's important is the third question they ask me. The third question they ask me is, if we gave you the 100 million today, how long until you put it in the company? Because when they give me the 100 million and I don't put it in anything, it means that the money is not earning money, which means they're losing money. So I can't sit on the money either. Now I'm saying this for the following reason. When you talk to a fund, you talk to a fund manager, you talk to an investor, you talk to a funding agency, whatever you want to call these people, their job is to take money, put it in your business, help you grow your business, and you pay them the money back, whatever you want to call them, asset manager, fund manager, whatever the fancy word. When you talk to them, realize the stage they are at. There are some funders who are raising money, who are looking to talk to you, but they don't have the money yet. There are some funders who have raised money, who want to talk to you because I pay it in you. Then there are some funders who are talking to you because they are waiting to finish the current fund, so on the new fund, they can deploy money. So sometimes entrepreneurs get really guys get despondent, they get discouraged because they're saying, I'm a fundraising, I'm a meeting, I'm a meeting, I'm a business plan, but they never fund me. Sometimes you're just talking to a funder who's at the wrong stage of the life cycle. So ask the funder the question. Is this for a current fund? Is it for a fund you are raising? Is it for a fund you are going to raise? What is it for, right? Once you ask those questions, then you know who you are talking to and you know what they can do.
Wow. Viti, now let me get straight into the question that I think everyone would probably want to ask you. Now, here's somebody, you've learned these rules, you've made your research, and you know exactly what you're looking for, right? And then we come across challenges that, for example, in South Africa, that we come across. You go to a funder, and then you don't get funded. Now, these challenges, how do you then overcome challenges of
action?
I don't know. You know where I'm going with this, right? Where people want to fund people that they know for whatever reasons that they do, and they don't fund people who deserve to be funded. I don't know, what's your advice there?
There's two things I want to say, and you've raised such an important point in that Pitse. The first thing I want to say is the following. Nobody closes every sale. Nobody. So, and maybe that's a lesson for us, Thabo. Maybe it's an opportunity for us to talk about the losses as well as the wins. So right now, I said to you guys that we're busy raising a fund, right? There are fund managers I'm talking to who are saying, no, your fund doesn't fit our mandate. Family offices, limited partners, institutional investors who are like, your fund doesn't suit our mandate. So what I'm saying to entrepreneurs is the following. When they say no to you, they also had someone say no to them. It's not like, no, 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 and they just hear yes all the time, right? So that's the first thing I want to say. So resilience, grit, never giving up is I'm telling you now, the most important trait of an entrepreneur is not education. It's not how good your English is. It's not where you went to school. It's not who you know. It's not. The most important trait of an entrepreneur is resilience. Can you get hit and get back again? Okay, so that's the first thing I want to say. But your question was quite pointed. You said, so what about, the people who are funding things they shouldn't be funding? I'm so glad, and I don't want to venture into the politics, but let me tell you, I'm very glad that the most recent local government results came out the way they came out. And the reason I'm glad is because people are realizing finally that you can actually lose power. You can control a city and lose it. You can control a metro and lose it. You can control a town and lose it. So is what I'm saying. I'm expecting that one of the great consequences of the most recent elections is going to be, you're actually going to see more funding agencies doing their work. And the reason for that is because people are going to realize that the party's over. Now we must do the work. We must do the things we have been put in place to do. So I want to say to the entrepreneurs in this conversation, don't give up. Don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. Do the things you need to do because you can make it. And by the way, Thabo, we didn't discuss this, but if you look at the macroeconomics of South Africa, our unemployment rate was announced yesterday is up again quarter on quarter by 0.5% to now 34.9%, 35%. That's by the narrow definition. We're at 44% by the broad definition. We now officially have the highest unemployment rate in the world of the 83 countries that get surveyed by Bloomberg. The highest unemployment rate in the world. I hear people say, what about Zimbabwe? We shouldn't be comparing ourselves with Zimbabwe, guys. Let's not balance mediocrity. So the point I'm making is the following. If you are National Treasury, if you're the Department of Small Business, if you are SARS knows they can only collect taxes from people who are working and businesses that are running. Treasury knows they can only balance a budget from an economy that is functioning. So all of us, this is the best time to be raising money, starting a business and growing a business, because the country is in such a bad place that they have to do something about it. It's not that they could, they can't, they should, they must think. They have to do something about it. The lesson we learned from the most recent incidences of looting was that actually it doesn't matter ukuthi English yakhe imnandi kanjani. When the country burns, it burns for all of us. That's the lesson. So I am encouraged. Most people are seeing a deterioration and they think things are getting worse. I'm seeing the deterioration, I think things are getting better. And if you're a spiritual person, I'm a spiritual person. Even in the Bible, one of the things you realize is before things they get better, they get worse first. That's the way things work. It's the natural cycle of things. So if you right now are watching this meeting, you're in this conversation, you're in this meeting room, and you're asking yourself, should I even be thinking about a business? Should I, be running my business? Should I be? The answer to that question is yes, because the economy needs you. And you are a fundamental part of that economy. What you have to do is to get very, very smart. You have to start doing your research, start talking to the right people, and start doing the right things. You have to get smart. Don't waste your time or energy running around solving problems that don't exist. What Bob Zondi said is so powerful. Yes, you have a water business, but you can't take your water business and go and pitch it at the Department of Agriculture. You're not solving their problem, right? You've got a fuel wholesale business with an import-export license. Great. Don't take that to the Department of Small Business. Take it to the Black Industrialist Program, right? So you must be clever now. Start being clever. What's the discussion? What's the conversation? And how do I position myself and tell my story so that I'm listened to, I'm credible, and most importantly, I can raise the money I want to raise?
Wow, sure. Now, Viti, maybe the last question before then we get to the end, because, they say sometimes less is more. I think our guys, they get bombarded with so much information, but you've said profound things that I could say, you know what, let's stop here. These guys must watch this thing over and over again, take what you've said, implement it before they even get even more information for that matter. So before we even go there, there's one thing now that I'd like to ask you, which would probably be like maybe my last question, is that we talk about funding, right? And this is exactly what happens. Now, people think you're going to start business and then you start raising money. Now, my philosophy as a coach, who coach people for performance, who coach people to, let's say, to make money. My philosophy or my starting point is I always say, the very first funding that you need to raise is in the pockets of your customers, which goes to where you need to build that data that you spoke about when you started, right? In order to get to that position where you can start raising, where you can get to the position where you can go now and start asking for funding. So it's in the pocket of your customers before anything else. So like I'm saying, since people, only start listening when VT say these things. Now, what are you saying to the entrepreneurs, VT? Because as you said, it's idea. First of all, you've got an idea, now you want funding. You've got a business, it's a startup, you want funding. What about this thing of your first funding is in the pocket of your customer before you even go and bother somebody else? I think that's the point that maybe if you can deliberate on, then a lot of guys will realize that, going into business doesn't mean is writing a business plan and going to, you've said it this yourself, you don't need a business plan to start a business, right? You start a business, you write a business plan and you go for funding. I think if you can just emphasize on this one, maybe some of our guys will start,
Let me tell you something. Let me put it to you this way. Here's how I feel about it. I think that you don't have the license, you don't actually have the right. Okay, let me come at it differently. To call yourself a doctor, there's a process. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm Dr. Banban. Life doesn't work that way. So there is a process. You go to school. And when you finish your primary schooling, you go to high school, you finish your high schooling, you go to university, you get your undergrad. Then beyond your undergrad, you get your honors, your masters, then you do your doctorate, right? So there's a process of graduation before you get called a doctor, right? There's a process of graduation before you can be called a CEO. There are people, I hear people who are CEOs, but we are one company. You can't be a chief executive officer when there are no other executive officers. You must be the chief executive, which means there are other executives. So we chief kabani mawe one. Now, I'm not saying, you can't put an aspirational title next to your business card, put whatever title you want, but when in your mind, you must always know what your job is. The problem, Thabo, is there are too many of us, I think, who want to sit in an office and send an email and things get done. That's not the way entrepreneurship works. Let me tell you how entrepreneurship works. Entrepreneurship, you take this thing off, you roll up your sleeves, and you go and get the job done. Now, because there is a process of graduating to become a doctor, there's also a process of graduating to becoming an entrepreneur. Can't just wake up one day and say, I'm an entrepreneur. We're entrepreneur ganja. No, if you pay me, I'll post something for you on my Instagram. That's not entrepreneurship. Let's respect each other. I once made a video that went viral. I said, if you can't take 90 days, 3 months away from your business, and your business is still running, you are not an entrepreneur. You are self-employed.
Yes.
Yeah, but so when people ask the question, so what is an entrepreneur? Here's my answer. An entrepreneur does 4 things. The first thing they do is they find a gap, yeah, and they find the money in the gap. There's no point finding a gap and you can't make money out of it. So you find the gap and you find imali. So how am I going to make money out of this gap? The second thing they do is they are able to pull together resources without money, which means they're able to get people to volunteer time, to get suppliers to volunteer product, that's what you do. When you're an entrepreneur, you're selling. That's what you're doing. The third thing they're able to do is they're able to convince people that they are the best person to solve that problem. And the fourth thing they're able to do is they're able to get people to exchange their money. You have to do all four of these things. So if you're watching this and you've got the business plan, you've written the business plan, you've got the idea in your head, you are not an entrepreneur until you can get someone to pay you for the thing that you've done. Then you can say, all right, now I'm an entrepreneur. I'm ready to go now. So the advice I give to every single entrepreneur is, before you even think about who can fund me, think about who will buy this thing, and go to the person who will buy it and say to them, can you buy this thing? Do you find value in it? Fagimad. You know, in the olden days when we started in my growth fund, so what had happened in my growth fund, as you know, Thabo, was I'd had a business, a consulting business. I exited the business. I had some money. Then I was on Dragon's Den. I did some deals. And I ended up with these companies that I'd bought into. And I was in discussion with like my lawyers and, you know, my accountants. They were like, so what these companies you bought, are you going to put them in your own personal name? And I was like, no, let's put them in another company. And we put them in a company, and we called the company My Growth Fund, right? Just put them in the shell. And then they were like, you know, actually, these companies you bought, what you're doing here is you're proving a thesis. And if you prove the thesis, you can raise more money on it. But I bought the companies with my money. Then I said to them, well, we can't just invest. We also need to help businesses grow. So let's start building our ability to help businesses grow. And then we started running incubator programs. And our incubator programs at the time were not free. If you wanted to belong to our incubator program, you paid. And there were people like, no, why can't the program be free? And I was like, no, I'm not SASA. I'm not SASA. Sorry, I'm not SASA. If you think there's value in my program and you are already running a business, you pay. My criteria for being in the program was that you must make a minimum 1 million Rand a year. People hear that, they think it's a lot of money. 1 million Rand a year is 80,000 Rand a month. 80,000 Rand a month is 20,000 Rand a week. 20,000 Rand a week is 4,000 Rand a day. 4,000 Rand a day is 400 Rand an hour. I think you can run a business that makes 400 Rand an hour. Like, just break it down. So that was our basic minimum. And we recruited entrepreneurs. They came into our incubator program. We helped them scale. We published amazing results. We still do these programs now, right? We helped them scale. We published these amazing results. So what I was doing was, in the process, while I was raising money, I was delivering value and getting paid to deliver the value. There's nothing wrong. If you are doing work and the work is adding value, you have the right to make money from it. We must stop this thing of demonizing money, right? So the advice I give to every entrepreneur is, if you want to start a business, before you start writing an email, start making a product and selling it. That's how you start a business. And once you sell to one person, you sell to two, you sell to 4, to 8, to 16, to 32, to 64, to 128. And now you start scaling. That's how you run a business.
Oh, no, thank you very much, Viti. Powerful word. Like, I think in one of your podcasts, I think you've said this as well. It's one of the, I remember the videos that went viral, you know, when you're talking about trusting the process, you know, trust the process, follow the process. So I think just before we close it, let me go back to my colleague, Mr. Zondi. Okay, I think we're going to have to let VT go, but just before we do, from your side, I don't know, what is your conclusion, or what are your words of wisdom in this discussion? Maybe in closing, sort of, yeah.
Timon, you said it before VT came into the last segment to say, even at that time, you felt like he said enough, that young entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general can go and reflect upon over and over. So first and foremost, I think before he goes, from ourselves as government, we want to appreciate his contribution, not just motivating entrepreneurs, but from a level of also having the skin in the game himself, wherein is running the micro fund. And we are hoping as well that working with private sector funders and ourselves as government, we can continue a conversation with people like him and stockholders like yourselves, so that you open more avenues for young people who've got products that are in line with what those funds are being set up for. I would like from my side to end in just summing up what is said. There's something that I always say to men when I speak to SMMEs, mainly youth-led SMMEs, in that point that you asked in terms of getting the money from your clients before you get it from investors. I always say to men, and it sounds rhetoric and it sounds like it doesn't make any sense, but I always say, to be in business and not having business is like not being in business. So that's my rhetoric. If you say you have a business, you must then be able to convert it to a sale. And just to cement and underline that with everything what VT said, I know we always reflect on successful international business people. We have to, because they've made it. One of the guys that I love a lot is Richard Branson, the guy who's behind the brand of the Virgin brand. Where did Richard Branson start? He started when he was in college. And guess what? Even when he was in college, he was dyslexic. So he was not one of the best performing students, but he started the student magazine. And how did he start the student magazine? He went into the principal at the college and say, people in the corporate, friends, we want to print this magazine next week. Can you get ads for me? And they started giving him ads before he could even print the magazine. And when he had enough ads, that's how Virgin Brand started. That first business with his obvious college partners at the time. They just got clients to advertise on the non-existing magazine, because they were able to pitch that you're going to get what? You're going to get the student audience, the student market. And then he was able to then print his first magazine from what? From the clients. So he had a business. Hence, I say, to be in business and not have a business is like not being in business. So thank you so much, VT, and wish you all the best. And we hope to see you back home and we continue this conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zondi. And from my side, VT, I just want to say, you know what, if there's just one thing that stands out, I don't even want to summarize what you said about you as a person, because as you know, I mean, even before you go into the business, you buy the person first before you buy their business. But one thing about you, I think, your congruency, which is which is something that has inspired me myself. One of the things you said, powerful, you said, you are not an entrepreneur if you are in business and you are not making at least R1 million a month. And I run every business that I come across now. Even this ActionCOACH franchise is like a year old. I've just been, by the way, let me say this because I'm talking to VT here. I've just got my award as the #1 coach in Africa. What does that mean?
I saw that. Yeah, well done.
Exactly.
Brother. Well done.
I'm making more money than any other ActionCOACH in Africa. And I'm really one of the 3, black action coaches, 2 in South Africa, 1 in Nigeria, and the rest of them are, let's put it, the rest of them are white coaches. This is a white business, it's a global business. So with that, and let me tell you, VT, every business that I come across, new or old, one of the first philosophies is that VT said, you're not entrepreneur until you make R1 million a month. So no, look here, I want to stay an entrepreneur. So you see that kind of power that you have. But what I just wanted to say is that your congruence, you practice what you preach, which is, I think, one of the most important things. One of the things that you said, again, tonight, you said people look at you, if you're asking them for money, who are you? Now, that brings me to my vote of thanks to say, how easy it was when we came to KZN and you said, you know what, we would like to expose our young entrepreneurs, give them the best experience. Take them to ICC, let them work the yellow carpet, because MTN is actually paying here. So we only talk yellow here, VT, tonight. So we wanted to give them that experience of the best conference and stuff. We said, you know what, let's give them the best that is there in the world in Africa. First of all, you don't find better than VT if you want somebody. So thank you so much for coming for that. That's why when we went, we put a power team. We went in there, we went to ask exactly things that you said tonight. It was very easy. There's only from his Department of Economic Development to say, what? Okay, what are we doing here? Okay, what is our mandate here? So who are we bringing here? We bring in VT, it was easy. Okay, done deal. ICC is there. Let me tell you, VT, you may be sitting there. We said, how now VT is going to land in KZN. So we're not going to go hire a car from these car companies. We call one of the top dealers. We say, hey, VT is coming. We need one of you to drive him and stuff. The first dealer that we called, which is the best car that we have, SMG Balito. Yeah. There's a lady called Ayanda. She said, you know what? Absolutely. As we speak right now,
good people
that you are not in the country, but you have a car, brand new, top of the range, parked outside VT for you just to come and drive you. It didn't even take a minute to close that deal. When you say people, they say, who are you? So now, who can ask you who are you? You say it's VT, and that's exactly that. So young people, if you want to learn the congruence here, the preaching that you've done. So with that being said, I just want to thank every stakeholder that came on board. The MTN that said, it's VT, no, it's fine. You know what? We'll come on board here. We'll help, whatever, with the funds. The EBL program, VT, thank you so much. The value, just you being there, just you mentioning it, just you having you being there before, for us before, you will not be, you won't believe how many young people, want to be coached by ActionCOACH, by EBL, just because VT is there. I'm just trying to show people the congruence, and that is just one thing that stands out about you. Preaching, practicing what you preach. So with all that from our stakeholders, EBL Institute, University of the Free State, MTN, ActionCOACH, DUT, EDTR, SMG Balito, like I said, I think that's one that stands out with you. So, but I'll drive the car for you for now. With this being said, please come back home. May God keep you safe. I think you know exactly. I think your purpose so far, I think where you at, you are one of the most, I think, you know what, I've been, sorry, I need to say this. Everywhere I travel around the world, and I've been to America, and I remember we were talking in a conference, and they spoke about, like the most significant people in Africa. Three names were mentioned, and I'm not buying your face. Me and you, we friends now, so I don't even need to buy your friend. Three people were mentioned. They said Nelson Mandela, and they mentioned Dangote from Nigeria, and Vusi Thembekwayo. I promise you.
Wow.
Honestly. And I will find that and show you the in America. Three names were mentioned. People didn't even know that I'm a South African sitting there, So I said then, I thought, wow, this young man, So yeah.
It's all God's grace, brother. It's all God's grace.
So Vusi, thank you so much, my brother, for what you are doing for Africa, for what you are doing for the world, for what you are doing for South Africa, for your heart, for wanting to see other people succeed. And we thank God for the wisdom that is given you, all the intelligence, the hard work that you've put in to be where you are. You are a leader by aspiration. People, you don't even need to talk to us. You don't even need to be in the same room with people, just by aspiration. People say, I want to be like VT, and people become better people, just from that perspective. So with those words, VT, I just want to say, may God please keep you, get home safe, and what an honor to have you tonight. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence.
I look forward to seeing you again soon, my brother.
Thank you, VT.
Sharp, sharp.
And good night. Thank you.